Yeah, so Thurman loses split decision, man, against the 40-year-old Manny Pacquiao. This is pretty exceptional. And I was actually in the middle rounds, man. I was thinking, man, this motherfucker has to be on PEDs. You know what I mean? The work rate was crazy, especially for a 40-year-old. I scored it 115, 112. Pacquiao scoring the knockdown in the first round. A round actually that I thought Keith Thurman was winning. He had a little bit of trouble adjusting early, you know what I mean? Although he had a decent round in the first round, but got caught going back in a straight line with a straight punch, you know what I mean? Pacquiao connecting and dropping Thurman rather hard. They were calling it a flash knockdown. I don't think so. That's why I scored it actually 10-8. He got up, you know what I mean? It was rather composed, but at the same time, Pacquiao didn't really have too much time left in that round, you know what I mean, to go for the finish. I also think that Pacquiao actually got buzzed right before that, before scoring that knockdown. So he kind of played it cool. Anyway, I scored it at 10-8. But to see Thurman, man, who's really a guy that, like, I call it like a stop on a dime type of fighter. And there are not many of these type of fighters, you know, out there. Who's the type of fighter at welterweight, man? It's hard actually to think about it, you know? Able to stop on a dime, use actually his mobility, stop on a dime and be able to create power, you know what I mean? Actually, Pacquiao, man, the most success he did have was not only with the straight punches, but with a straight jab, man. He was landing some beautiful jabs. Like Pacquiao has become a minimalist, man. He really lived off his engine when he was a younger fighter, but nowadays, man, he really picks his punches, man. And it was interesting to see, like, Keith Thurman was expending a lot of energy, not being necessarily effective, swinging wide, you know what I mean? And then Pacquiao is just taking like little half steps, feinting, and then popping a straight right jab in there, you know? That's probably the most successful, I'd say the most successful tool that Pacquiao used in this fight. Also the straight left to the liver, that shit had Thurman, like, actually Thurman had gained momentum and then he got hit with that body shot. Like the first round when he got knocked down, and then that round where he got hurt to the body. He was feeling that shit in the round after. Which one was that? Was it the 10th? I think it's around 10 and 11. I think he got hurt in round 10. Anyway, man, I gotta give it to Thurman, you know. Actually, if he didn't have that bad start, if he didn't get knocked down, I think he did find his rhythm and got to that point where he actually could employ. I feel like he was trying a different style in this fight. And to his credit, he was actually being successful at points, you know? And I feel like the body work that he was able to do in the first half, with that more flat-footed style, kind of a catch-and-shoot type of style, at times he will obviously deviate from that. Like, he went from wide punches from that style and was ineffective, like trying to catch and shoot, like walk Manny down, kind of flat-footed. He wasn't effective with that, though, with the wide stuff, you know what I mean? And then he started, like, I'd say, reducing a little bit the power he was putting on these shots, man, and just, like, kind of punch-picking, you know what I mean? But in Thurman's case, man, he's a both-handed puncher, man. So that shit will be snappy, and Pacquiao is not a natural welterweight, you know what I mean? And that shit will accumulate, and it did, man. I feel like the body work he did in the first half in the fight, even while not necessarily winning rounds, or as many rounds, I only gave round 4 to Thurman. He was putting water in the basement. Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like kind of started finding his rhythm, man, in the second half with his, like, moving, power punching style, man. I always compare him to Acelino Freitas in that regard. Punchers that have the mentality of a boxer in a way, you know what I mean? A more athletic style. More Roy Jones Jr. than a pure boxer, let's say. Pacquiao still at 40, man. He's doing the same thing he's doing back in the day, just not as effective, you know what I mean? He's not the young whirlwind anymore. But the shit that got him, like, the decisions against Marquez, man, whether he deserved them or not, it was that, you know? His ability to be able to win the big spots in the fight, or in the rounds, you know? Get a big reaction out of his opponent. Even while not effective, being able to overwhelm his opponent, make him very reactive, over defensive, you know what I mean? But also, he got the knockdown and he also hurt Keith to the body, and it was funny to see Thurman trying to play it off as a headbutt or whatever he was complaining about. But that's gamesmanship, man. That's actually a veteran tactic, you know? And he went on his bike like he does, you know? When he gets touched to that glass, his glass is his rib cage. We've seen Omar Figueroa throw his porcelain around. I was thinking, like, watching that Omar Figueroa fight against Ugas, and I predicted that Ugas was gonna stop Figueroa. Watching Figueroa, you know, he's a dude. Like him and Paulie Malignaggi, they're basically the same guy. But I think one of the two chooses to fight like he fights. You know what I mean? One chooses to box, one chooses to brawl. Both have porcelain strapped to their knuckles, man. And I guess they're winning fighters, but you know what I mean? Or world level fighters. Is that a case of choice? You know what I mean? One chooses to be a bitch, one chooses to fight it out, I guess. You know what I mean? All that smothering you're seeing by Figueroa, there's a reason for that, man. He can't afford it to fight on the outside. Maybe it's more so that his technique actually doesn't allow him to box like a Paulie Malignaggi. But at the same time, who'd you rather be? Paulie Malignaggi getting cut up, beat up regardless if you're able to stifle, smother, spin off, you know what I mean? Check hook, little flicking jabs, that type of shit, call yourself world level and all that stuff. Or Uma Figueroa, man. Catch a black eye, maybe two black eyes, be in wars, you know what I mean? Overwhelm dudes, just sheer will, determination, throwing that fucking porcelain at people, you know what I mean? Trying to cut them up. I don't know. It's an individualism thing, you know? Personality thing. Anyway, man, Thurman Pac, man, Thurman shouldn't hang his head. He did what he had to do. What he could, really, you know. I thought before the fight, you know, if Pac-Man wins, does that mean that this generation's welterweights, the true welterweights, that they are somehow watered down? If Mikey Garcia is able to, like a former featherweight, is able to come up to welterweight and compete against so-called boogeyman, go the distance, that's in a sense competing, especially for a featherweight, you know what I mean? We're not giving participation trophies, but this shit is a little, I don't know, if you should pat yourself on the back for that shit, you know, if you're Errol Spence. Thurman getting beat by a 40-year-old Manny Pacquiao. We call the guy legend, but the flaws are obvious, you know what I mean? They are visible. And then you see the flaws in Thurman, actually, the way he kind of looks lumbersome, treading forward, kind of slow, actually, like flat-footed. He had to use his mobility to get into a punching rhythm, and he was able to use that to land some big shots on Pacquiao in the latter part, you know. But early when he was working for that moment where Pacquiao's a little bit more tired and has actually to watch his P's and Q's, you know, on the defensive side. Before that he didn't look, it wasn't pretty, you know what I mean? So is there maybe something to be said, man, about these welterweights right now? Smaller dudes, older smaller dudes able to beat the current cream of the crop? Hey, listen, man. Sean Porter might be the best welterweight out there, you know? Who would have thought that shit, you know? And I can't see that even, man. His weird self, you know? Winning against fucking Errol Spence. Smothering the fuck out of Spence, man. You know what I mean? Taking him to a place that he hadn't been so far. He's the place taker, and he's going in against the guy that's cut from the same cloth. Actually, you hear Spence fucking calling for that shit, trying to get the dog out of Sean Porter, but Sean Porter is on this weird thing, man. And I say this shit is actually mind games, man. You hear fucking Sean Porter on commentary, man, trying to kind of baby the viewers, and at the same time kind of trying to be the alpha, explaining certain things to Lennox Lewis, how to use a jab, how to use your movement, how to do this or that, you know. Fucking telling Lennox Lewis, man. Fucking Sean Porter is weird enough to be the best welterweight in the world, you know? Maybe we should give Terence Crawford credit for beating Jeff Horn. Just something out of the blue that came to my mind. I don't know why, you know? Horn beat Pacquiao. I always wanted to see that fight between Thurman and Jeff Horn. I think they are similar fighters, actually. Although one is a puncher and one is a more physical fighter. But I think they are both big guys that use their mobility well. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent here. Like I said, man, if Thurman didn't have a bad start, I think he could have won this shit, actually, you know? He gotta take care of these straight punches, man. Like, his defense are legs in a fucking high guard, you know? And at times he blinds himself for that shit. Like, Pacquiao was punching through that shit, you know? Sticking a jab just through that shit. You know, like a jolt, Jack Dempsey style, man. Fucking putting that fencing stab to him. I don't know. Fucking, I hate the Sean Porter and Lennox Lewis broadcast team. I actually hate the whole fucking PBC thing when they had Skip Bayless on there, like, interviewing him, like, I thought this shit is perfect, man. It just fits, you know? This fucking Play-Doh production. Yo, I don't know why they do that, man. Like, Ray Mancini I actually like Ray Mancini, but he's a stuttering prick. And then they have Deontay Wilder on there, man. Like, get the hell out of here, bro. Like, Deontay Wilder was talking about momentum. Pacquiao needs to find his momentum or has his momentum or some shit. And then he talked about the game plan. You know, gotta have the right game plan, and Pacquiao had the game plan. Get the fuck out of here, bro. I'm fucking foreign as far as like to the US goes, you know. I'm not in an English-speaking country or whatever, but I'm hearing some foreign noises, man, out of this man's mouth. And just in general, man, why like Sean Porter, man, he just talks for the sake of talking, man. He doesn't make points, you know. He's just talking, man. He wants to be a fucking presenter on the Basketball Wives reunion show, you know. He's that type of dude. He wants to be John Sally. Gets on my nerves, Sean Porter, man. And people, they're all on the Sean Porter commentating bandwagon. You know, he has a job in the future. Like, he's pretty smooth, actually. Like, he has a decent delivery, but if you look at the fucking substance, man, that motherfucker, oh yeah, we know the old shtick. Sean, you don't like to make predictions. Talks like hot garbage, man, for about like 10 minutes, man, when they just wanted a prediction from the motherfucker and he wouldn't give it. Like, wasting time, airtime, man. That's what I'm seeing a lot, like, in that PBC thing, you know? They don't discriminate, man. They don't cut shit, man. The editing room is vacant. Yeah, I've ranted enough, I think. Yeah, Lennox also, man. Lennox, yeah, man, I like to wear blue pajamas before a fight. Like, get the fuck out of here. I don't want to hear that shit anymore. Like, they don't bring any substance, man. Compare it to fucking HBO and all. Like, fucking 3 motherfuckers that don't ever have stepped into the ring could do a better job than them. Marcus Villegas, he's like doing his own like poetic bullshit. Little special that he got, you know what I mean? Is it just me, or is anybody else like fucking tired of Marcus Villegas' rise to fucking boxing fame? You know what I mean? He's like a boxing personality now. I'm not hating, like, do your thing and everything, you know what I mean? But like, why the fuck is he a boxing judge? How is he the fucking Harold Letterman? I just know him from being the weird guy on Fight Hub that looks into the camera too long, you know? Keeps staring at me for some reason, man. And getting uncomfortable, man. Maybe that's my problem, but this dude stares into the camera like he's talking to a dude, like to Eric Morales or whatever. All of a sudden, like, he starts like talking into the camera and laughing. Oh yeah, one time I also went on a ride and fell from a horse. Ha 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 ha. Laughing to the camera like as if I was laughing with him, you know what I mean? His fucking interview subject, man, is standing there uncomfortably looking at him, all awkward. Anyway, he had a fucking like little special, man. And he was talking about like how he always has a smile on his face when Manny Pacquiao fights. And then he gets goosebumps and cherishes every last minute that he can spend in the midst of a legend like Manny Pacquiao. Who knows how long we are gonna be able to watch this great legend fight and be around him, his great demeanor, doing like a Larry Merchant thing. And then, what did he say at the end? And then I knew I stood in the midst of legends. I stood tall amongst legends. He said that shit, man. He said, I stood tall amongst legends, man. You know, I stood tall in the midst of men. Some gay shit like that, but hey, tired of this shit, man. Hail ye, hail ye. Hail ye, Manny Pacquiao, old senator. What the fuck? Is this a generational win? Do these fucking young welterweights, are they looking on, man, all grumpy right now, you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Fucking Sean Porter is the best welterweight in the world, man. He's a throwback. At least as a fighter, he's a throwback, you know? Like Spence, man, he was like, yeah, Keith is gonna do that, Keith is gonna do that. I like Keith, Keith is my friend, but I wanna fight Keith. Keith ain't fighting me until he's retired. There is always this fucking backslapping going on between these young welterweights, you know what I mean? All came up like around the same time. Spence is a little bit like the youngster between like Porter and Keith. Porter and Keith, they see themselves like as veterans of the sport, like these just turned 30 motherfuckers, you know. They think of themselves like as already legends, you know. The great fight they had between each other. Like Sean Porter actually is like in love with Keith Thurman, if you haven't noticed. I actually think fucking Errol Spence is jealous because he's also in love with Keith Thurman, man. You know, this is some long hair, don't care problems right there, you know what I mean? And that's where you see like the animosity that Spence has with Porter right now. You would think because they're fighting, but it's not like that, you know what I mean? It's all hugs and kisses, man. That's the times we're living in, man. After the fight, we're going to the club together, you know, like Pacquiao and Floyd, you know? We're making that money, robbing the bank. Incidental legacy manifestation or whatever. Incidental legacy stamping, you know? Just because they're there, you know? Nobody's fucking boxing. You see Keith Thurman, man, stumbling all over the place before he found his rhythm. Like, that's not a good representation, bro. You see fucking Paulie Malignaggi going to BKB, making a fucking fool out of himself. The fucking armless bandit or some shit like that, man. Yeah, he also stole money, man. Do you think fucking Henry Armstrong would fucking lose to fucking Artem Lobov in a fucking BKB fight? Get the fuck out of here, man. Put Omar Figueroa in there, man. It's about choices. You think Henry Armstrong, man, would fucking say to Manny Pacquiao, like, Manny Pacquiao 40 years old, motherfucker, what? I'm in my prime, bro. What you got? What, eight weight divisions? Okay, I got you. Trinket belts and all. Get the fuck out of here. I know Henry Armstrong isn't going down without a fight, you know what I mean? He's not just competing, he's trying to win. I stepped in there with a legend and all that good shit, you know? Anyway. Terence Crawford, he feels safe on his side. Talk to my promoter. I don't do the talking. Yeah, alright. You know? When Pernell Whitaker passed, I was saddened and surprised, obviously, but probably not as much as I should have been, because Pernell was that type of dude. When they asked him, do you want the rematch with Chavez? Do you think you got robbed? He said, I'm not looking for that rematch, but the people will demand a rematch, and if the people will demand a rematch will happen. But he's not chasing, and the people, in his mind, knew who won, so he's not worried about it. It was a draw. And I think that's how Pernell looked at all his losses. Even if he didn't think there were losses, he wasn't a complainer. He wouldn't complain about it, you know? And he wasn't also actively campaigning for these type of fights. Eventually he got them when he was out of his prime. He was thrown to the wolves at that point, still, you know, representing, because he is sweepy. But he probably didn't end up as rich or as influential or as present in our minds as he should have been. 55, that's not old. The man got hit by a car. You think Floyd Mayweather Jr. would get hit by a car? Don't you think one of these Jews-head Guidos would have like take those tires instead? Like, just take the hit. Why is he in the position to get hit by a car? You see Evander Holyfield going to the gym. He seems to be walking, talking on his own, you know what I mean? He doesn't need bodyguards. Who knows about his financial situation, but he seems to be comfortable. I don't say like that happened because he's not Floyd, you know what I mean? But I think if you're Floyd, that's not gonna happen, but you're also gonna exchange that type of freedom for that type of security, you know? Pernell should have been a lot bigger. A lot more people should know him. There should have been a big fuss about this, man, because this is way too soon, you know? He was taken as if it was just another fighter, and that he wasn't, you know what I mean? Thurman and all these other fighters, you know, these prime fighters. I think they won't take that so easily. Yeah, that's what I was actually comparing it to the Terence Crawford situation, right? Yeah, man, he won't call out for that shit. And Pacquiao was never that type of dude, but at the same time, he got those fights. He was challenging himself, and he had a lot of work in front of him, you know, so that work that Terence Crawford is looking at, man, it's a living, you know. It shouldn't excite anybody. It shouldn't excite him, nor should it excite the fans. If it's just another fight, how can we get excited? If it's just another fight for you, how can we get excited, you know? We see Terence Crawford making a big fuss about fighting anybody he fights, you know? Like, how are you angry at Jeff Horn? Getting all angry at this guy Benavidez, but he gets angry at everybody. Jerry Jean, Hank Lundy, you know what I mean? Making yourself look like a bully. trying to be all sinister to Amir Khan. You know, these welterweights right now, man. So Manny Pacquiao, man. Like, why are you fighting? Why? Like, even these dumb welterweights, they would like him to retire. You know, it's like a comedian, you know, going to stand-up gigs, going to fucking auditions and shit for movie roles and whatever. They're hoping, like, waiting on a call and shit, but at the same time, they're almost scared to get it, you know what I mean? They'd rather have that obscurity or relative obscurity as a stand-up, going from gig to gig, you know what I mean? Real fame, that's strenuous, you know? Almost like that, you know, they kind of want that payday against a Manny Pacquiao, but at the same time they would rather like just him retire, I guess, you know. They really want that payday though, let's be real, because they're like that old couple, man, just hanging around, you know, like still in the club and shit. I don't know if that's a thing, like I'm on my Teddy Atlas shit right now. Like fucking Sean Paul and Keith Thurman, it's all about just like getting them married, really, and fucking Errol Spence being the wedding crasher. Hey, why do they want that Floyd and Manny payday, you know what I mean? Why does Keith say he's not afraid to let that all go, you know? Because there's no fucking shame in losing to a guy like Manny or Floyd. They're legends, you know, fighting legends and all that stuff, you know? Danny Garcia, like, he can't give an interview, man, without fucking trying to insinuate himself into the fight. I don't know why. He couldn't help but talk about himself. Like, I should have gotten this fight. I want the winner, blah, blah, blah. He couldn't even make a prediction without, like, somehow switching that shit up to him. All of these dudes, man, they want these paydays and shit against these old dudes. Want to beat the legend, make a payday. Or lose to a legend, make a payday. You know, it's whatever. They're not really competing anymore, man. Getting paid way too much. We're telling people way too much about brain damage and fight smart. Yeah, this is gonna blah blah. Shut the fuck up. You're gonna get brain damage anyway, you know? Regardless if you fight smart or not, man. Getting hit to the head way too much. That shit not supposed to happen, man. There's a reason I'm sitting here on the couch. This shit is serious, you know? You serious? I don't know. Too much thinking is going on, you know? Business, you gotta understand the politics and all that craziness. Fans want to be all in on the politics because the fighters are also, you know what I mean? And it's that athletes thing, you know? Like, athletes are getting better and fans are getting worse. That's what they want to put out there. But that's all bullshit. Let's be real, man. Athletes aren't getting better. Not in this sport. Not in a sport that tries. The sport tries to keep the secrets in the gym. And that goes to fans, man. They don't want us to know. They don't want us to know what we're paying for, if we're paying for it. They don't want us to know what we're clicking on, you know what I mean? They want us to know just these dudes are the best fighters in the world because they have the world champion moniker, man. Paulie Malignaggi has a world champion moniker. You know? Nobody's telling us really about the sweet science. We gotta figure it out. We as fans gotta figure it out for ourselves. And even if you're a casual fan, man, credit to you. You know, props to you. If you're a hardcore fan, power to you, bro. You know, because nobody's helping you. You gotta really search for these dudes. Like, we see NBA and these dudes are in the inside NBA and breaking down plays and breaking down whatever. You know what I mean? They make it a point to fucking educate the fan, man. That's not happening in boxing. So even being a boxing fan, you should get credit for that because nobody's making that shit easy for us. We're pampered as a motherfucker, and at the same time they're trying to keep us like disillusioned, like not understanding where or what's happening. You see that a lot, man. Why does the mainstream, like, they're so clueless and we call them casuals and all that shit, but the sport, man, makes it a point to keep us in the dark. I mean, HBO tried a little bit, but it's all about money, man. If these big money fights are in play, these networks are gonna spend some money to get some specials and whatever on air, you know what I mean? And a breakdown by Virgil Hunter and Tim Bradley of the Pacquiao Mayweather fight, it's gonna happen, you know what I mean? We're gonna see like legends get put together like they did then, you know, asking them questions, which would really, I think, attract fans and also like education about the history of fighting, man. We don't get that, man. Nobody, like, that's what I'm saying, man. Nobody fucking knows in a gym, like in that fucking Mayweather gym, nobody knows Pernell Whitaker or watches that motherfucker, man. And I'm sorry to say it like that, but it's a shame that Pernell Whitaker isn't known like fucking Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is, like Will Chamberlain is, like Michael Jordan is, you know what I mean? Like Larry Bird is, man, Magic Johnson. That's fucked up, man. That Muhammad Ali is the only boxer that really got his shine, whether he was really aware enough to enjoy it to the fullest extent, you know what I mean? He had his time. There isn't any time that's guaranteed, so you can't really be too sad about anything. And that's what I'm coming to, that conclusion, you know what I mean? That's why I'm fucking not really too broken up about fucking Pernell Whitaker passing away, because first of all, I don't know the guy. The older you get, man, the more you don't get as sentimental, especially about things that don't necessarily affect you personally. And even that, man, overrated. This is getting dark as a motherfucker, but hey, listen, Pacquiao just beat Thurman. All these other dudes, man, they must feel down. I hope they are. I hope they understand, man, that what they are telling themselves, you know, that there are these machines working in the dark gyms. Somehow there's fucking fog in the gym, you know. Nobody's supposed to see the age-old tricks of the trade, you know. You know, let's just wait until like Freddie Roach and all, let's say the older trainers that are around still. Let's wait until they die and then just think like, oh, what if we did specials of Freddie Roach breaking down fights, or anyone else, man, you know what I mean, that has some real knowledge to impart. And not even these fucking crazy legends. Like, give a guy like this guy, that guy on True School Sports, Louis something, I think. He's a trainer. And I believe there are a lot of videos on him like talking about different styles, talking about like a jolting jab, I think about like the stab jab, talking about bare knuckle fighters, how they used to hold their hands and the way they used the jab, like in a stabbing motion, trying to slice the opponents up. I think that type of shit could actually be useful for dudes that fight in BKB, you know? Actually take a little bit of that old school shit that John L. Sullivan and them tried to do back in the day, you know. That's why he says also that you see a lot of these old school fighters on pictures have that goofy type of look to them when they're holding their fists up, but it's meant to be like that, you know. They were more so slicing than really punching, you know, because also the gloves were a lot smaller back then, you know, lighter. For example, man, he should get a show, talk about shit, break down fights. Who gives a fuck if the guy has a name? They're trying to make fucking stars out of trainers, get a storyline going, man. Have these women announcers in there, man, talking all lovey-dovey to the fighters in press conferences. They're retarded at PBC, man, or whatever, or Fox, or whatever. Like, put a dude in there, man. Even a guy like Jim Gray that's gonna annoy the fighters, irritate them, get some heat going, man. Why do I have to tell you that? Put a woman in there with like a little baby belly, you know, as if she's trying to lose the baby pounds, giving that maternal feel on the stage, you know, baby talking, Keith and Manny up there, you know what I mean? I'm all for like diversity and everything, but it all has its place. And I don't know if boxing is the place for that motherly feminine energy out there, you know? Get the fuck out of here. Anyway, I'm saying these dudes are all sad right now. They hoped either to get the payday, lose the fight, or win the fight against an old legend or whatever. Actually, Errol Spence is from a mentality perspective, is the most throwback of these fighters, because he's actually calling all these dudes out besides Terence Crawford. I don't know what to think, you know what I mean? And also, I don't like him like pampering Keith Thurman in the way he addresses him and shit, you know? Like all that trash talk they're trying to do, Keith Thurman, Errol Spence, and Sean Porter, it's so buddy shit, you know, as if they came up in the same class or something and now trying to sell us something. Like, get the fuck out of here. I don't like you being all friends, you know. First of all, fuck you, you know. And I think actually Errol Spence is trying his best to step out of that shit, you know. But he's the younger dude, the younger brother type of thing, you know. He has been seen by TMZ hanging out with Adrian Broner in public and shit, getting drunk, so yeah. Take a step back, you know. Lean back. Chill, that type of thing. You can punch hard as much as you want. People are giving Sean Porter actually like shit for fighting the way he fought against Ugas, man, but the motherfucker is actually pretty multidimensional. If you think about it, he was able to win the fight boxing. His brawling style didn't even come into play, and actually if he uses that brawling style, we've seen him shut offensive fighters, shut explosive fighters completely down, shut boxing completely down with that style, you know? That shit is something to deal with, you know what I mean? We're gonna see Relentless going against Relentless. Who's gonna be more relentless? And I've seen a little bit of that, I wanna be a boxer now, I wanna show my intelligence and all that stuff by Errol Spence, you know, going against a featherweight, you're gonna box out there. And I've seen you trying to go at him and shit. You didn't necessarily get what you wanted, right? And then you thought about it. Let's play it cool, you know. Let's box him. Put a jab on him. Tire him out. Ramp up the engine. Chill a little. Ramp up the engine. Chill a little. See if he folds. Not go all out, you know what I mean? You never know. Let's be smart out there. So if that comes into play, right? And you know, I'm gonna just say, man, like Porter did a similar thing against Ugas. He was playing it safe out there. Shit almost lost him the fight though. He's obviously rethinking that shit, and especially going against Spence. If Sean Porter, man, lets any of that friendship and shit and all that, like these youngins, man, they trying to box too much, you know what I mean? And I give credit to Keith Thurman for actually fucking forcing the fight, man. Trying to be flat-footed, actually stepping out of his comfort zone, you know? Give a little. Take that nosebleed, you know what I mean? Shell up, absorb, you know? I gotta give him credit for that shit. And I've seen that in the Sean Porter fight, that he had that shit in him. Never said that the shit would look pretty or whatever, but it was, eventually it was effective. So I give him credit for that shit, but a lot of these dudes, man, they're trying to play it safe, they're trying to box, like, Terence Crawford against Victor Postol, you know, I see you, trying to play it safe. Take the chances with the judges, this type of shit. We're gonna see, man. And actually like, there were chances for Keith Thurman to stop Manny Pacquiao if he had a bit more stick-to-itiveness. And I don't want to like be too hard on him. He obviously also had to weather a lot to get to that point where Manny was running on empty, basically, and started getting hit with punches. And to Keith's credit, man, his punches, man, they sound the same from 1 till 12, you know? And that shit takes energy, and he was also absorbing punishment, so can't be too mad at him, you know what I mean? He had a bad start. That really is what kind of bit him in the ass, but at the same time, he has to fight hard, man. Prime welterweight, prime champ, has to fight that hard to compete against a 40-year-old, like past his prime. Like Manny's past his prime, man. It's a black eye for this generation's welterweights, and really for this generation in general. All these dudes, man, that came up at the same time, boxing right now, looking for the smart move to make in their career. Look at this shit, bro. Not everybody's Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather is like a evil genius or some type of shit. He's a creation, man. He's like a testitute baby. That type of shit, man. You know, jumping rope in the womb. Anyway, man. Like, I want to be like Floyd. I want to be like Floyd. Like, go back further, man. Boxing been around for a while. There's film out there, man. You don't have to be, what's the guy's name? Fuck. A young Mike Tyson with all the film in his fucking basement or whatever where he was watching that shit, man. 8mm. It's on YouTube. Watch some shit. I don't know, man. PBC and Fox, man. Put some fucking money and effort into this shit. Like, buy some footage from ESPN, man, and get the shit going, man. Educate the fans about the sport. Get these participants and fighters actually in there, man, and show, like, because they're scared. Is it by accident that all these fighters sound like a little bit dumb or uneducated on the sport they're actually participating in, you know? Can't really form a sentence, convey it to the viewer, and I don't think that's a linguistic issue. I think these dudes actually don't know. And we're in a generation where a fan like me can sit at home and actually sit and listen to a fighter's interview or whatever, talk about the fight, talk about the prediction, talk about whatever outcome, talk all uppity about how they do it and we don't. And me sitting here on the couch completely dismissing that fighter and saying, nah, fuck off, man. I don't believe you, I believe me. You know what I mean? I believe what I see when I watch that film. Do you watch film? Like, these fighters don't know shit, man. Oh, brilliant head movement, Pernell Whitaker, and shut up. Never watched them. Alright? Pernell Whitaker was a bad man. Watch his fight against Paulie Diaz. I believe that was in Virginia actually also. And he put a beat down on that dude, man. And actually, that was competitive early. And that guy actually fought kind of like a Keith Thurman. Like all mobility reliant with power punching, you know, but a little unrefined, and that shit kind of like, hey, Pernell wasn't letting that dude just style on him, you know what I mean? That dude started a little too hard for Pernell, man, so he had to turn that shit around on him. Put on the pressure cooker. I'm out, man. I'm out. I'm talking here. Talking too much. All these dudes are gonna be mad. They're gonna be mad. Let me tell you. they're gonna be disillusioned, man. They're gonna be a little, oh, I don't know, man. Should I retire now or I don't want to catch an L? Like all dudes fucking us up. Fuck, even if they're on PEDs, man. These dudes are beating on us. More activity than us. Sidestepping us. Wow. Like Floyd said, man, fuck this shit, man. These niggas ain't beating me. I'm retiring. You know? You ain't good enough to step into the ring with me, you know? Think about that. He said, nah, I'm good. Manny's just that type of dude, man. He says like, I'm good. Like I said, man, these niggas are like Sean Porter. I don't know why he's still fighting. God knows why he's still fighting. Shit like that, they will say. How about you think about it, man, at home, before you become a fucking TV host, you know what I mean? How about you think a little bit about the subjects you're gonna talk about? He does it because he's better than you. He's cut from a different cloth. He's still doing it at a higher level than you. It's not the highest level he's ever been able to produce, but it's enough for you. That's a good enough reason. Making that money is a good enough reason. Schooling fools? Actually, fools. Like, I'm not gonna overdo it, but at the same time, man, play it safe. Keep playing it safe, you bums. Bum-ass generation. See where it takes you. Like I said, man, incidentally putting themselves into the record books just by being there. They're just there. So I guess they're the best, you know, because they're there. But let's be real, man. Like motherfuckers nowadays, they really think like we think back to Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, Ali, fucking Joe Frazier. Like Joe Frazier, they think of like as a dude that loses to Muhammad Ali. Joe Frazier, man, eats people alive today. Do you understand that? Do you understand that this man is not taking a step backwards? And he doesn't want to, and he's fighting you with one eye, and he's putting left hooks on you that are retarded. You know what I mean? And you're not really hitting him. You're not hitting him that much. Okay? You know why Muhammad Ali was hitting him? Because he's the greatest. Do you ever think you're gonna see the greatest? No, you're not. On film maybe, but you're too good for that, man. You know? You'd rather watch Floyd, man, tap the bag. Better yet, watch Adrian Broner tap the bag, you know? Yeah. Okay, I'm over it, man. I'm over it. Peace out.